Omar Baghouti is the founder of the BDS movement. He is also one of 2 million Arabs who lives in Israel and perhaps most surprisingly holds a master's degree in ethics from the astonishing Tel Aviv University and is said to be currently pursuing a PhD at the university, also in ethics. Baghouti calls for a boycott and divestment movement. Boycott and divestment of a nation that serves humanity in a way that, frankly, is off the chain. Baghouti's career at Tel Aviv University is astonishing. There are other, perhaps even more astonishing things happening on campus. We spoke to Tal Dvir, the first printer of a 3D heart made of human tissues and cells, Issac Ben Israel, the godfather of Israeli cybersecurity and the head of the Blavatnik Interdisciplinary Cyber Research Center, and Dr. Shai Efrati, whose hyperbaric oxygen treatment lab at the Sagol Medical Center in Tel Aviv claims to have reversed cellular aging for the first time in history. Following up on that claim has been a joy so far for this reporter, in part because this reporter got to go to Cocoa Beach, Florida, the home of Major Anthony Nelson and Roger Healy, and indeed, Jeannie herself. In mid-April of 2019, a lab at Tel Aviv University made history by printing a rabbit-sized 3D heart that was made of human tissue and cells. The head of that lab is Dr. Tal Dvir. I spoke with Dr. Dvir at his lab, where they are doing things that only a few years ago would be looked at as genuinely miraculous.
This is the first time that the whole cellular heart with blood vessel is printed. And another major breakthrough is that it is printed from the materials of the patient itself.
We still need to see how we engineer hearts that work properly first, and then we will think about more advanced setups that will allow to perhaps prolong life. But currently we only try to engineer hearts that will work properly to help these patients with end-stage heart issues. And we aim to replace their hearts with their hearts that were printed, but still it will take many years until it can be done. So with brain, we're not printing tissues, but we're creating organoids, which are small tissues, to be implanted in Parkinson models. And these tissues, they know how to secrete dopamine, which is the factor that is needed for these patients. So the future of tissue engineering is to replace defected organs. So in terms of the eyes, this is the goal as well, to replace or regain function of the eye to be able to see.
He is called the Godfather.
Say anyone move against you first.
I visited Major General Issac Ben Israel, who is commonly referred to as the Godfather of Israeli cybersecurity, a field that is absolutely booming in the land of milk and honey, so it is often referred to as the land of milk and honey and totally rad cybersecurity.
We are vulnerable, dangerously vulnerable.
We are very vulnerable. Almost everything in our life is controlled by computer. Computer chips in your phone, in the air conditioner here, perhaps controlling the camera here. We are surrounded by computer chips, and each one of them is vulnerable to cyber attack. We already had, and this we have for 70 years or so, the culture which encourages innovation, technology. You have to understand that we did not invent the wheel in 2010. We already had a very developed ecosystem of what we call high-tech. And high-tech is about computers and communication between computers. And if you speak about cybersecurity, you need the same disciplines. You need to understand computers, communication between computers. So what we did is not creating a new ecosystem, but taking the already existing, highly developed high-tech ecosystem in 2010 and shifting it a little bit towards cybersecurity. We already had the human talent. We already had, and this we have for 70 years or so, the culture which encourages innovation, technology. I mean, since we were born in a war.
Right.
And since we were born, we understood that we cannot really close the numeric gap between us and our neighbors. There are 6 million people here, 6 million Jews, surrounded by something like 360 million Arabs. The ratio is 1 to 60. We understood that we cannot close the numerical gap, and therefore the only way we can survive is by using science and technology, and by using qualitative, what we call qualitative edge. And so we took the basic Jewish culture, which it's strange, but it's Jewish culture fits very well science and technology. But the major characteristic of science is that you have to question every authority. I mean, even if Newton said it or Einstein said it, doesn't prove that it is truth. And therefore, you have to question everything, and this is part of Jewish culture. And because of the history of creating the State of Israel, we used it and invested more in human talents and academic research than in any other field. We created here universities, like the Hebrew University in Jerusalem or the Technion, before we declared independence. It was not the other way around. And we took this Jewish culture, we took the strategy which prepared human talent because of this to deal with highly sophisticated technologies. And then we created this high-tech ecosystem. In 2010, we shifted it towards cybersecurity. 2019, today, I am again leading a task force appointed by the Prime Minister, trying to shift it again towards a new technology which looks like the core technology of the future, and this is artificial intelligence. We chose to encourage those cultural characteristics of Jewish culture to use it because we had to survive here in the hostile environment.
In late 2020, a story was released worldwide. Israeli scientists had claimed to technically reverse cellular aging. News that for a guy like me makes someone jump up and say, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. That team was and is led by Dr. Shai Efrati, the founder of the Sagol Medical Center Hyperbaric program. During the height of another wave of C-19, I spoke to Dr. Efrati in his office in Tel Aviv on Zoom from New York City.
We have also genomic aging, okay? at the cellular level. What do we mean by that? If you are taking a cell and you put it in the lab, this cell will replicate something like 40 times and then stop. In the lab, classical condition, okay? Why is that? Because there is a genomic clock. The telomere are a crucial element in that genomic clock. And once this genomic clock is been shrinking to a certain period of time, then the cells stop to replicate. They stuck. They become age cells that cannot replicate anymore. And these are the cells that are accumulating mutation and become cancer cells. These are the cells that cause inflammation along aging and all of this, okay? So what we have done in this research program, we have started with the whole organ. And if you will look at our previous publication, we have been able to demonstrate that we can improve cognitive, brain functionality, okay? We can induce generation of new blood vessels in the brain, of new neurons in the brain, okay? This is a whole organ. In the last study, we have dived deeper to dig at the cellular level. And for the first time in humans, we can demonstrate that we can change the DNA, the changes in DNA that happen along aging. This is huge because it's just like landing on the moon. For the first time, we proved that it's feasible in humans, okay? That's a huge. Now, once somebody landed on the moon, then other will start. He will take this spaceship, he will take that spaceship, etc., etc. But it's feasible, okay? You can land there. So that's what we have demonstrated. And we have plenty along the way because the research program is ongoing. We have now, that haven't been published yet, it will be published in a couple of months, how we can improve cardiac function, normal aging, okay? Cardiac function, sexual function, stem cell generation and things like that. So it's an ongoing program. And then once you can measure it, you can treat it. And for that, we are using fluctuation that we generate with oxygen and pressure by hyperbaric oxygen therapy. By increasing the pressure to very high, doing a fast decline and then up and down again, we are inducing things that happen during hypoxia with hyperoxia. Okay, because the body senses fluctuation, it doesn't sense absolute value. And by that, we are inducing all the regenerative process, even at the cellular level. And this is huge. Because it happens that what we will have is, people don't understand that, but the age-related functional decline is the number one threat to our Western society. Because anytime somebody is reaching a point where he's demented, they are suffering from dementia, from Alzheimer, frailty, okay, it's not that he's going it's not that he's the only one that's going down. All the surrounding is going down with it, okay? All the support in it, everything that. So this is the number one threat to our Western society. And we can generate, based on this, an Alzheimer-free community, a dementia-free community. We will all go down, but we want to go down with our heads up. That's the main issue.
Several months later, in April, C19 was letting up. And I visited Dr. Efrati's Aviv clinic at the Villages just north of Orlando, Florida. In a hyperbaric chamber that looked kind of like a military aircraft, I learned a whole bunch about Dr. Efrati's unique hyperbaric oxygen protocol. What brought you into the Aviv clinics to be treated here?
Well, I had a few head injuries earlier in my horse career. I traveled the country doing a sport called team sorting and team penning. So with the team penning, you run fast. So sometimes the horses get tripped up and fall, and I've hit my head a few times. And one time I really had a bad accident at home trying to head off some cattle. My horse hit a bull hole and flipped, and I was unconscious for a little while.
You were rustling cattle? Wow.
With the cutting edge, okay? With the new cutting edge, okay? It was published only 3 months ago, and already I think that 6.5 million people around the world already read the article and read this news. It means how important it is to people.
Our protocol triggers stem cell production, and stem cells are blank slate cells. They can become any cell you need them to be. So if we have damage to the brain, we can help the brain. If we have damage to the muscles, we can help the muscles, heart, intestines, and so on.
I play tennis 5 days a week, and I went from an 85-year-old tennis player to a 65-year-old young tennis player, having fun and running faster than I've run in a long time.
That's amazing. So you're playing tennis all the time right now?
Right.
We have to hit.
You are meeting the cutting edge. It will take time. First accessible to that. There will be additional center in the US. More centers will be treated. More knowledge will be gained. More operators will know how to do. For example, the medical team in the US came to Israel to be trained by us. Okay? Get certified to know what to do. Okay? And now they can teach other centers in the US.
I remember somebody one time telling me that she says, it feels like I'm quieter. It's like the computer screen and they turn the brightness level up and everything's much sharper.
All of our cells have chromosomes, and the ends of those chromosomes have telomere caps. And those telomere caps, over time as we age, shorten. And when they shorten to a critical point, the cell knows if I replicate one more time, I don't have my telomeres to protect me, I could have damage. So I'm not going to do it. And it becomes an aged senescent cell. And those senescent cells can cause damage because they build up as we age. So our program lengthens those telomeres, preventing or delaying that cell from going into senescence and delaying those problems.
Once we have proved that it's feasible, a lot of people will investigate different pathways, different options how to use it, because it gives hope. Again, landing on the moon. So they done it with a certain spaceship, okay? And others were developed in order to reach the moon, okay? Same here. It's feasible, we can land on the moon. Now we can learn, is there additional ways to optimize that? If we will add that to that, will it be better? Okay, it's a new area of medicine. You are looking at the future of medicine, improving the cellular performance instead of treating the diseases that happens because your cellular performance are not good.
I would say that had my wife gone into it immediately after her stroke, she would have had a lot of years of better health.
In reference to stroke, what brought me here was actually my father. I'm from New Jersey originally. I had my own primary care practice. And about 4.5 years ago, my father, who was a retired neurologist, ironically had a stroke. And the stroke affected his speech. He went from a full vocabulary down to about 50 words. And unfortunately, there isn't much you can do with today's medicine to help somebody with a stroke after the 48-hour mark. Until now. I researched and I saw Dr. Efrati's papers on post-stroke and how you can heal the brain, and that was enough to bring me down here.
Does it feel uniquely, actually righteous to be in Florida and to be doing this?
Well, the Fountain of Youth is just a myth, and everything we do here is based off of hard science, real evidence. But there is no doubt that as we watch people go through this process, as they invest into their own time, their own health, to watch how it changed their lives emotionally, psychologically, physically, genetically, truly can be, it's an overwhelming feeling that you're making a difference in people's lives and somehow leaving the world a little better than when we got here.
If functionality is important to you, we can help, okay? A couple of years from today, if somebody will have dementia, we will do a whole investigation to say, wow, how come? How did it happen? How did we reach that point? And for the first time, I'm saying again, for the first time in humans, we are proving that it's feasible. And now what will happen, once we demonstrate that it's feasible, a whole of young brains, a lot of young brains, very smart, okay, will come into the field because there is a future, okay, and try to play with different intervention, how to do it best, improve it, optimize it, measure it, okay. If you want, you are welcome here to Israel. You will see robots that we have that are measuring telomeres, just like you are measuring normal blood. This is the future of medicine.
You know, you tapped into something that I tapped into that brought me into this story more heavily. I'd heard about this before, but when Efrati said we are reversing cellular aging,
Right.
I got on the phone and called him.
And when he talks, I listen.
The way I see it, I don't see a reason why people at the age of 120 will not still be active and fruitful and needed for the young generation. I don't see a reason why not. Okay?
Well, Omar Brigadi is not the only person thriving at the University of Tel Aviv, surprisingly. This is a small smattering of what's going on there. I was not able to reach Mr. Brigadi for this story and would love to talk. He's an interesting guy. Maybe next time. Until next time, I'm Milan Henry Levine, tonight in Tel Aviv. May all your missions be possible.